Hail Dicelings and ready your formal requests, because today we continue with the 20 questions, part 3, on building a crab Bushi. This is again for anybody who's brand new to Legend of the Five Rings, looking for a character that they can jump right in without having to learn a lot of lore or learn anything really about the setting, would rather explore kind of what culture is to these characters through your actions in game. So let's just kind of jump right back in where we were on the 20 question sheet, and this is where I said that will probably take a little bit of time. I've kind of reevaluated it. What I'm going to do is do a video later after I've completed the Bushi and probably building the other schools, where I talk more about like what a Giri is, what kind of Giris can be pulled from the game, and I'm going to do it more from a GM perspective, but I'm going to give some tips for players as well. And then for the Ninja, I'm going to give that from a player perspective and then give tips for a GM. Now, the reason for that is because typically when an adventure is being put together, the GM will give you an idea of what your adventure is. Since I'm building a hypothetical party for this video, the adventure I came up with is basically there's a woman who's suspected Mahusukai in Clearwater Village. She's disappeared into some forgotten temples in the mountains, and Gunso Akado Junji is an Imperial Legion Gunso. He's decided that he's going to send out this task force to go deal with that problem. So each of the characters has two lords, their personal lord, and then Gunso Akado Junji, the Imperial Legion captain. So this is actually addressed inside the book. It talks about how you can have multiple Giris or multiple ninjas, kind of depending on what your character, who your character's loyal to, what they're loyal about, and things like that. So the first one was pretty easy here. Basically, hunt down the Mahusuki. I recommend players kind of making their first Giri whatever is requested of them from the game. As the game gets more and more complicated, their lord may come into the picture and change what their mission is. Once that happens, your Giri will change. But the Giri is almost always going to be directed by the NPC lord that's in charge of you. However, if a PC becomes your lord, that's where things could get kind of interesting, because then a PC could technically assign duties to his subordinates, which could be other players at the table. I haven't quite gotten there yet in my own plays, but there is a chance that my L5R campaign may go that direction. That's the War on the Plains campaign, which you can find a link in the doobly-doo. The second lord is Lord Hida Kasada, which is keep the women's true identity as Hida Kasada's cousin from coming out in public. This would embarrass him. I'm making this up. If you are a big canon person, Hida Kasada didn't have a cousin that was a Mahusuki, but it's your L5R. So that's kind of the theme for the new version from Fantasy Flight. So they encourage GMs to make changes. Don't really stick super close to the canon unless you really want to, and it's okay to deviate. That's kind of their big flagship on this one. Basically, these need to be actionable items that are going to be kind of directed by the overall plot arc, if you would, for the adventure at the moment. They are things that will allow you to interact with the arc that's happening at whatever level is appropriate for your character. When we get to the Shinobi, we'll see kind of another set of complicated ones, because there's going to be his Gunso, his personal lord, and then probably what his forward-facing Giri is, which we'll talk more about with how Shinobi work and how they can change these rules a little bit. Number 6 is what is their duty that, or what is their desire that might impede their duty, I should say. This is your ninja. This is your personal desire, so you want to always kind of think about this and what does your character really want from his adventuring or from his time in the world. So he wants to take revenge on a powerful foe for the death of a loved one. His foe is Daidoji Shiko and Shiko no Oni, who's an Oni that has taken Daidoji's name, and for the lost one of Hida Sutomu. There we go. Basically, I just kind of wrote like a skeleton background for the character with this. As I develop in more questions, I'm going to have a better understanding of what this character is. He ultimately wants to seek out revenge, and if that revenge means turning his back on this job, he might, or this duty that he has, that might be a thing. One of the things that you want to do that the book recommends is that you find a way for these two to conflict. And if you feel like your two things that make the most sense for your character don't conflict, speak with your GM about it because they may conflict in a way that you don't quite get. A really good example of this is you may have a duty from your lord that says accomplish this mission, which will gain the clan glory, and then your personal desire is to gain personal glory and rise up in the clan. Both of those things sound like they work together, but a clever GM will be able to pit those two against each other during the adventure, and it might hurt more because they are so similar. He may give you a chance to basically take on some of your clan's glory for yourself, or choose to put the clan ahead of yourself. That'll put those two at odds. That's a really simple way to do that. And then number 7 is, what is your character's relationship with their clan? Because this is the Bushi and this is our first build, I'm going to keep it real simple on this one. Basically, he's going to believe in the precepts of his clan, or the precepts of Bushido that his clan believes in and values. So because of that choice, he gets 5 glory. And then for what does he believe in? What does your character think of Bushido? He does an orthodox interpretation of what Bushido is and is very staunch. So he gets plus 10 honor. Those two numbers are going to get added to my base numbers from the first page to get me the numbers that I'm eventually going to translate over to my character sheet. Now, the one thing that I do want to mention here is, while you can see that on page 88, that is where we talk about your Giri and your Ninjo. If you look inside there on the following page, it directs you to actually page 39 for some examples of what your Ninjo and Giri are. Just real quick, they are actually inside these little sidebars over here. The different examples on page 39, and then page 38 has the Ninjos. These are a really good start for new players. However, these can be modified and changed for your adventure. What I'd encourage any player to do, so that you can invest right into the story right away, is look at the adventure that the GM is putting together and what seeds he's kind of put out there for you, and try to make your Giri at least match up with those seeds, or on the other hand, make your Ninjo match up with those seeds, but your Giri be conflicting. That'll give you an easy way to jump into the drama right away. With that said, that's all I have for this one. Make sure you check for those links that I talked about inside the description for this video. Hit the thumbs up button, like the video, share it with your friends, and as always, I'll see you at the gaming table.